Hi folks, it's Teresa, Stringfield Ridge Farm. We're going to do a little garden tour today. I think that our garden is growing really well. We've had a lot of rain early in the spring. It's dry right now, we're having to water. But we had a lot of rain early on that helped our gardens to really do good, gave them a good start. And though we're having to water right now, it's that they're doing really good because of the good start they got. So it's interesting to me to see what stages of gardening other people are at all over the country. And like when you look down at Deep South and Louisiana and Lower Mississippi, theirs is ahead of us, and they're already harvesting things. Kathy at Living Miracle Homestead on down in Florida has been able to get elderberries for quite a while now, and ours are just, the flowers are just starting to fall off of ours to make the elderberries. That being said, people up north of us are a little behind us. So I think that's pretty interesting to see where everybody's at. So I decided to do a garden tour of our property today. So we'll show you our garden, our grapes and our trees, fruits and things. And I'm going to go through it pretty quickly because it's hot out here. And these little frog things are wonderful. You get it wet and it stays cool for a while. And I like to just use it to wipe the sweat when I'm out here and wrap it around my neck, and it stays cool. And then you can throw them in the washing machine and wash them out. So, love these things. I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if we've got something that's not doing too good, I'm going to show you that too. I was inside canning jam this morning, and I looked out and saw the wind blowing, and I thought, oh, I want to be out there so bad. I bet it's nice out today, and I've got a lot out there to do, which I did plant some things that I had started that I had up-potted, but I hadn't got them in the ground yet, and still don't have them all in the ground. I got hot and decided to stop, but when I looked out, I thought it was really nice out here. Because the wind was blowing so good, but I got out here and I'm like, oh, it's not that great. It's pretty warm. We don't do everything just right. We don't do everything perfect. If you don't believe that, watch our video called We Ain't Perfect. I'll tag that in the description below so you can see that. But anyway, we don't do everything just right or like you do or like somebody else does. We do it our way, and whether it works or it don't, we do the best we can, and a lot of things work for us. Sometimes things don't. And so, here we go. All right, we're going to start right here at the back of the screened-in porch. We have the elderberries I've shown many times. We have a pawpaw tree right there. The pawpaw tree is young, and we've only gotten probably about 8 pawpaws at a time off of it. And something gets them every time. If we don't catch them right before they're ripe, something gets them. So there is they grow wild here. There is one back by the at the back of the property by the creek. There's another one, but it's not much bigger than that one, and they just aren't producing a whole lot just yet. I've got some lemon balm growing there. Some of it is growing on top of the, that is the storm shelter, and there's some growing up on top of that, and then I've got some in a bucket, and I'm probably just gonna plant that all around there and let it grow all over that area. But for now, I started it in a bucket, and I haven't moved it out of the bucket yet. It's fine there. I do want to eventually maybe spread it along this hill over here beside the storm shelter. Then we've got asparagus. There's asparagus all through here. We have let it go to seed this year because it's new. Some of it's new. Some of it's a little older, but we decided to let it all go to seed this year, so maybe it'll do better next year. This is some marshmallow that we dug up down in the river bottoms and moved it to our property so we could have a starting there of marshmallow. loofah gourds. They're growing all up to the top of the chicken coop there. There's 3 plants there that are doing really well. I had 5. 2 of them died out. I don't know what happened to them, but those 3 are doing really good. I have some tomato plants planted in pots. I have several in different spots all over the property. One reason I do that is I like to container garden some. And one reason I do that, I put them all over the property, so if they don't do as well in one spot, maybe they'll do better in another spot. There is a mullein that Lee has planted here on our property recently. We've done that several times. They grow all over the place wild here on the sides of the roads and ditches, but we wanted some on our own property. Right there on this end is the poblano peppers. They're doing good. I've had some really big peppers I've pulled off of there. I've got a little bit of everything in there. There is some garlic that needs moving over with the other garlic. I put some marigolds in there to keep the bugs out. I've got a couple tomato plants down there on that end. I've got some pots here of stuff that need to be planted in the ground. Some leeks I started and some bee balm. I've got some squash. I've got a zucchini and a yellow squash. I'm not going to put those in the ground because I have bad luck with squash bugs here the last few years, and so I started putting them in pots. This is a roselle that's doing good. I've got a couple of pepper plants that are not doing great, but they need up potting. Some toothache plant that's doing pretty good, along with a weed. Toothache plant, and that is, look at that weed. Got some weeds in there. That is chamomile. And then a cucumber in a pot that's not doing great. Our cucumbers that are in the ground are doing much better. These are turning a little yellow. I think because, I don't know, because I watered them in direct sun. I'm not real sure. But all 3 of those are kind of turning yellow. So I gotta either move them or get them in the ground or something. All right, here is my Malabar spinach. All along back in there, I'm gonna put up a little trellis and try to trellis that Malabar spinach. There's my pretty marigolds are doing great. There's those 2 tomato plants that are in here. Orange Armana, and they're doing good in here. There's some flat leaf parsley that has gone to seed. There's my basil. Basil's doing pretty good. And cilantro, it needs a little water, but it's been doing good. I've cut that several times. Like with herbs, the more you cut them, the better they do. They'll just keep coming back. I've got some dill that was growing in here that's doing good, but this big dill here was getting spindly, and I moved it out of a pot in here, and it's got to be watered. He is wilting fast on me. I just done that, so I've got to go get the water and get him some water quick. All right, there you go. That's the raised bed. Now we're going to have more raised beds in this area, but we haven't had time to get them all done. So we also have to weed around these scarlet runner beans. I have scarlet runner beans. I have 3 teepees in here. I have scarlet runner beans. Noodle beans are starting to climb up there and do good. And the Kajari melon. Kajari melons are starting to climb up. Need to weed in here. And the strawberries are gone for now. They will come back when the weather gets a little cooler. And then I've got a bunch of mint there. Okay, so we're up at the big garden. This is the garden Lee takes care of. He tills and takes care of this one. And I help a little. I help a little, but mostly I do the containers and the herb garden. He takes care of this up here, and we just took cabbage out. This is where we had our cabbage, had 2 rows of cabbage. We took that out and made sauerkraut. And we're gonna plant something back in there here right away. As soon as we can, we'll get something back in there. And here is the, we have spaghetti squash. It's doing great. And let's see. I know there's a bunch of them on there. There's quite a few of those on there. All the way down through. We're going to have a good bunch of spaghetti squash this year. And then we've got some potatoes next to that he had to replant. He had some potatoes in there, and early on we had a late frost that got them, and he had to replant. And then he's got his peanuts. Lee loves peanuts, and last year he done about a half a row, and this year they are coming up great, and he done a whole row of those. Back up here a little. He done a whole row of the peanuts. So then we've got our okra. We done 3 whole rows of okra because we really love the okra, and we have really enjoyed the okra. And this is red Clemson okra, and we done 3 rows because last year we canned fried okra, where you can it, cut up in your pieces like you're gonna fry it, and then you can it, a hot vinegar mixture. And after we tried that, and it turned out so good, you just drain it, and then you flour it and fry it, and it is absolutely wonderful. So we wanted plenty of that this year. We're also going to share with our friends at Gemini Homestead. They didn't do a very big garden this year because they just moved there, and they ended up doing some container gardening and didn't have room for okra and green beans, which is next here. We have our green beans here, bush green beans. We like the bush green beans. We don't much like pole beans. We tried that before and wasn't fond of that. So we done 2 nice rows of the bush green beans. They're doing great, and they are fixing to be ready to start picking here in about 2 weeks. And we're going to share those with Gemini Homestead also. They share a lot of things with us, and we're going to share a lot of things with them. It's great to have somebody close to you that that you can share with. All right, then we've got a little bit of squash. They're not doing great, and we only done a half a row of that. So I have a bad problem with squash bugs. We haven't planted squash in several years because we had a problem with squash bugs. And so we wasn't going to plant any, and then we finally went ahead and got a few plants and decided to just go ahead and give it a shot. We have a volunteer sunflower right there in the middle. It just came up from last year. Have our onions, and then we have more sunflowers, a whole row of those. And right here we have a lamb's quarter. They are starting to come up good. These are wild. And we have a video on foraging lamb's quarter. So check that out. It is a wild spinach. Very good for you. You can do anything with it that you do with spinach. And so I'll be utilizing that soon. We didn't think we were going to have any of that this year. We had like I said, a late frost, and thought it got it because we didn't see very many. But now they're starting to come on up. And there's several on the other side of the garden there. So not as many as we usually see, but we are starting to get some. And I'll be utilizing that. And we've got a video on that. I will link in the description below. All right, then we've got watermelon. His watermelon are doing great. He has tilled this really, really good and added a lot of compost and stuff to get that soil better. And they're doing great this year, so we'll see how that turns out. I don't think there's any on there yet. Are you happy about watermelons, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You just don't want nothing on it, right? You want it plain. We have a video of that too. I will link that in the description below also. Our little video of trying the watermelon. That wasn't our watermelon.
You said it wasn't.
He didn't like the tahini on there. All right, we also at the edge of our garden here have planted some little bushes. This is gooseberry. He planted 2 gooseberry bushes and 3 blueberry bushes. They're all doing good, so we're proud of that. The blueberries are down here. You want to see them? Okay. This boy is interested in seeing the garden too, right here. Blueberry bushes. There's 3 of those. And there's another one there on the end. Yeah. All right, so that's the big garden. Now, we ran out of room, and so Lee went ahead and done another spot. Show that over here. He had to till up another spot for some things because we ran out of room this year. So this is our cucumbers. They're not very big because the frost got our first cucumber plants we planted. So we had to do that over. So there they are. And there's another lamb's quarter. We leave those where we can so that I can use those for spinach. Here is the Sumpin, y'all. We've talked about finding some seeds that just said Sumpin, and don't know why it said that. Don't know who done it, but anyway, they're Sumpin, and they're looking good. Still don't know for sure what they are. Everybody seems to think they are pumpkins, and that would make sense since it was labeled Sumpin.
They look like pumpkins.
We're thinking pumpkin. So if you know, let us know. And they're doing great.
Yeah, what is this?
More potatoes. He done some more potatoes. Like I said, that first bunch got killed back, and he planted another row. And so since he tilled this up, he went ahead and done another small row. This is a smaller garden. I don't know what that is.
I found it.
So there you go. And I'm calling this my wild spinach here. So we've got wild spinach going all over. We've also got this mess right here. This mess right here is clover. And in that clover, we kept a spot for wild lettuce. So we've got wild lettuce growing in that. And it'll get big and seed out. And hopefully eventually we'll have a big spot of wild lettuce there.
It was under the pool.
And I used the, yeah, that's where the pool was years ago. I have left that clover to feed to the rabbits. I pull some of that clover down then and give to our rabbits.
Yeah, the rabbits.
So there you go. Now, if you've watched our channel much, you know that we have 7 large pecan trees. So I'll just give a quick look of those. Those are over here. There's 1, 2, 3. Can't see number 4 over here. Number 5 down there. And then there's 2 smaller ones elsewhere. But these very large pecan trees here. And we utilize that every year. We're going to start selling those sometime or another. Don't know when for sure. But anyway. Okay, right here we have a pear tree that we bought and planted here. We bought 2. One of them didn't make it. They are self-pollinating, so it does have a few pears on it. It's about 6 years old, so it's still young and hasn't done a whole lot. But it does have some pears. There's 1.
There's big ones.
Yep. There's not very many, though. There's just a few here and there. I can't even find the other ones. Also, we have a black walnut tree there. I know that's not a great popular thing to have on your farm, but there's not much else around it. We don't have garden around that or anything. And we utilize that some. Mostly, we had a pig pen back there behind it and raised 2 pigs. And we gave a lot of the black walnuts to them. That's good for them. Lee has gathered and processed black walnuts a couple of times. Okay, there's the peach tree. Now, it is, it has some peaches on it. It's done fair. We've probably gotten, I don't know, 10 or 15 peaches off of it. But the back side of it does not look good. And I'm not sure why. Probably because it's partly shaded by that tree. But that tree is a white mulberry. And I really don't want to cut down that white mulberry. But it is probably shading the back side of this peach tree too much. And maybe a problem.
They don't pick very good.
Okay, these are what we call dewberries. They get bigger than the blackberries. And they taste maybe a little bit different. They don't have as much seed, it seems like, maybe because they're bigger. But this grows wild here. We've got this, it's just on one side of our property. It starts down here and then here, just a little bit here. We don't have a whole lot of that. And then my walking onions, they have grown up some, but we are letting them seed out this year.
Look how big they are.
Yep, that's our walking onions. All the way up through there. It's kind of weedy in there, but that's because we didn't mess with it. We're just letting them seed out and hopefully come back up thicker next year. Now here is our other mulberry tree. This is a black mulberry. And I see a bunch up in the top of it. It's huge. We wish we'd have kept it cut back. But it's been here a long time. It is an old tree. And we weren't here when it needed to be kept cut lower so that we could reach them. But we'll go up here and show some of these. We've picked as low as we could reach. So I don't know if there's any black ones right now. There's some red ones. There may be one. Anyway, so this is, the kids have gotten under here and picked as low as they could reach and picked all of them. It's got a little red on it, but
That's good.